Coming up on episode 101 of Creative Writing, I'm reminding you not to drop the baby. Just wait for it. It'll make sense in a minute.
I can't go back to sleep, it's almost light. These restless thoughts have kept me up again tonight.
Hello and welcome to Creative Writing. I'm your host, Kirsten Oliphant, and this is a podcast for writers, bloggers, and creatives who want to build an online platform without being smarmy. So today we are going to talk about don't drop the baby, which is really weird, I know, and just stick with me. It is going to be a little bit more woo-woo than my normal podcast episode, but I feel like it's really important, so I'm going to share it. Before I get into why you shouldn't drop the baby and what the heck I'm talking about, actually, a few quick things. The first is I've got something really cool coming up, and it's not quite ready, but I'm just teasing you and telling you a little bit about it. But this summer, I talked already about how I'm going to take a break from the podcast, but I'm doing as much as I can to kind of automate things so that I can take a break. And I really probably not going to take that much of a break. I'm going to take a break from the normal day-to-day and week-to-week things to work on some bigger projects and also just to hang out with the family because my husband works a lot in the summer. We got 5 kids and I just can't work all the time with everybody home. So taking a little bit of break from work, doing some bigger projects, and I have something coming up called Summer School, and it's going to be fantastic. I have got this great big plan. There are going to be a couple different courses that you can decide to take. So instead of sending out my weekly emails, you can sign up for Summer School and pick your class that you want to take, or all 3 if you want to be insane. And then you can get emails delivered weekly that I'm already planning out right now with special content in them. One of them is probably going to be a SEO type course for Summer School, and another will be on list growth. And then those are the top 2 right now. I'm doing a survey in the Facebook group. So if you're in there, you need to find it. And if you're not, you can head over to creativewriting.com/community so that you can weigh in on what courses I should do for Summer School. Stay tuned for that. I also really want to thank our sponsor who has been Ambition Ally for the past 5 or 6 weeks. And every week I've kind of shared a little bit more about why I like this pop-up. And it's not just a pop-up. That's the thing. That Pop-Up Ally Pro, which is what I use, can do a number of things. You can actually do 12 different kinds of signups. And I actually have taken all mine off. I'm about to do some new things, like I mentioned, Summer School, among other things. So I was looking to plan. And one of the things that you can do with Pop-Up Ally Pro is that you can actually choose categories to have that pop-up show up on. So for example, I talk a lot about email on my blog, and I have a free email course. I could have a pop-up showing up just in that category of email so that people who are already reading that, who maybe came from Google or Pinterest, interested in email, can get a pop-up saying, hey, if you want more, there's a whole free course on this. So that is exactly how targeted you can get with your email signups, which is fantastic. So if you want to learn more about Pop-Up Ally Pro, check out our sponsor by going to ambitionally.com/Kirsten to learn how you can use this kind of targeting. So one more thing, I'm also going to be doing a free training on automation for your email. So MailChimp last week announced that they are now adding automation to their free plan. And if you're like, what are you talking about with all this automation? What I mean basically are autoresponder series, which is how people plan out a welcome series or do free email courses where it's emails that you write ahead of time, you set up, and they will send, however you set them up, week to week or day after day. You choose those details. And when people sign up for something, so Summer School is going to be through automation. When you sign up, you will get those emails that I've pre-written in the time frame that I set them up to go out. So that's automation. Now, MailChimp, that was always part of their paid program. It's really exciting that they have made this free. I know for a lot of you who are on like the budget plan, you're like, I can't pay for email. Now you have another free tool to use. So we're going to look at the MailChimp automation. And also I'm going to show you a little bit about ConvertKit, because those are the 2 main emails actually that I use currently, one for one list and one for another. So that's totally going to be free. creativewriting.com/auto to sign up for this free training. Now I don't have the date yet because I have a lot going on. In the next 2 weeks, I'm having oral surgery. I have this crazy thing happening in my mouth where I'm growing extra bones, which just, I don't even want to talk about it. It's just crazy. And I feel kind of like a freak show. So that's happening. And I'm trying to cram in as many things as I can beforehand, because afterwards I'm going to have all this craziness happening and I'll be on medication and won't be able to talk. I think it's going to be kind of like having my wisdom teeth out, except worse. So I will be letting you know when this will be, and I will have a replay for it. So if you want to sign up, go to creativewriting.com/auto. Now let's dive into what I mean by don't drop the baby. Okay, so a few days ago, I was heading out from my house to the car, and I don't even know where I was going, but as usual, I had about 50 things I needed to get to the car. And I'm pretty stubborn, you guys. I used to go to the grocery store when I studied abroad in England, and I remember walking, because I didn't like paying for the bus. So I was walking from the grocery store 25 minutes back to the house where I was living. And this was no big deal in London. Everybody did this there. It's so weird here, unless you live in a really big city. But I would buy just enough groceries that I could carry them, and I would carry them in my arms the 25 minutes. And, now even I will try to carry every single bag, and we have a lot of groceries, you guys, every single bag in one trip from the car to the house. So this particular day, a few days ago, I was leaving the house and I had Piper in my arms, and I think like 3 other bags and probably a cup of coffee, because that's just how I roll. And I remember thinking to myself, this is really a bad idea. I'm going to drop something. Something is going to fall, because I have to open a door, shut a door, open a gate, shut a gate, and then open the door to the car so I can put Piper in her car seat, which normally is in the house, but for whatever reason, it was in the car itself. So I'm carrying her in my arms, all this stuff. And I just kept saying to myself, it's okay. You can drop anything, but you can't drop the baby. Don't drop the baby. You can drop your coffee. You can drop your backpack. You can drop your purse or whatever else. I really don't remember what I was holding, but don't drop the baby. Whatever is going to come out, it can all come out, but not the baby. And I was saying this to myself, and I made it to the car without dropping anything, baby or otherwise. So if you're stressed out by this story, I totally understand, because before kids, I would have not blinked at this. And now that I have kids, I'm getting stressed out thinking back to me carrying all this stuff with my baby. I'm just like, why don't I just take 2 trips? It's fine, but maybe next time. But I have to overcome my stubbornness. So in any case, that was my reminder that I was thinking, don't drop the baby. And as I got in my car and I had her buckled in and I had all my stuff and the coffee was in the cup holder, I was thinking about how this is like a weird kind of metaphor for the things that we are doing in this creative work. So thinking about what we might be doing right now, we have these websites, whether you're a blogger primarily or you're a writer that's trying to, get a blog and a website all put together. We have our website, we have our blog, we have maybe books that we're writing or blog posts. We might be doing sponsored posts, or maybe we are trying to build a course, or we're trying to build up a Facebook group, or just even make connections on one of the social platforms like Twitter or Pinterest. Maybe you're trying to grow your Pinterest following. We have all of these things that we're holding on to. A lot of times people talk about balls in the air, but I'm just thinking about me carrying the baby and carrying all this other stuff. And that's like what we have. We have all of these things we have in our arms, but there's one thing that you can't drop. I don't know what that is for you. I don't know what your baby, so to speak, is that you don't want to drop. But we all have something. And when push comes to shove, a lot of those things can fall away. Take a back seat. You can drop them to the ground for a little while, but you can't drop the baby. So what is your baby? Again, I can't answer this for you, but I think a lot of times this might be kind of your why, the why that you're doing things. And if you've ever gotten to a point where you're kind of going down the road and you don't realize that you've sort of taken this path that is not where you wanted to end up, and you're like, how did I get here? Often it's because you forgot your why. You forgot the reason you were doing it. And I know for me that happened when I started writing a lot of sponsored posts for my blog. When I realized you could monetize a blog, it was like, what? I can make money doing this? That's great. And at first it was great. And I was taking on sponsored posts that were relevant to me. And then I just started doing it for the money. And that's not my why, you guys. That's not why I was writing. And, my long-term dream is books, writing books. And I didn't want to have this author blog that people came to and you're like, why are you talking about car insurance? That's just not a good fit. So I had dropped the baby. I dropped my why in a sense and had gone kind of down this tangent that was not where I wanted to be. It made me unhappy. It made my blog really disjointed. I had lost my why. And here's another option for you. It may not be necessarily your why and thinking about what baby you can't drop. I need to think of a new way to say this right now. I know that's the title of this episode, but it's still stressing me out thinking about dropping a baby. So what is it that you can't drop? I'm going to talk about the most important thing, okay? We'll say that. The most important thing that you can't drop. This morning, I got the email from Paul Jarvis that he sends every Sunday called the Sunday Dispatch. And I really loved this week's. And you'll be able to find it. Usually he posts them on his blog in a week or two or so after his email goes out. So you can look up Paul Jarvis and find it. It's actually, I think his website is like Paul JRVS. So Google it because it's not the norm, but it's not there yet. He was talking about how you can kind of look at what it is that you want to do. Like if you're trying to make money freelancing, how much money you can make. And then he was sharing kind of a mistake that a lot of people make. And here I'll kind of go into his example a little bit. He was using the example of if you're writing author bios and selling them and say it's like $500 to work with you. And you need to make $2,500. I'm not using the same numbers he did, but just, to kind of give the example, $2,500 each month to kind of make ends meet, then you need over 5 of those $500 clients to make ends meet. And that makes it really manageable. So you can think about how many you need. And he was talking about how sometimes people get excited about these different shiny objects, like maybe it's course creation. And so instead of taking on those 5 clients that you need, you instead take that time and create a course, which could be a really great thing financially. But because you took off those clients, say it took you a month, that's $2,500 you didn't make, okay, from your clients because you were making a course. And then that next month, you're also not working or you're not taking on clients because you're actually promoting the course and selling the course. So that's 2 months. And if you look at what you needed, that's about $5,000. So are you going to actually make $5,000 on that course and just break even? Are you going to make more? Maybe, but maybe not. And his point was kind of that sometimes we put things ahead that shouldn't be ahead. And it reminded me of this whole idea. Whereas he said instead, when he's got something like he wants to create a course or something else outside of that, he'll first do that work that's necessary to kind of pay the bills. And that's the baby. So the very important thing for you, it may be your why, or it may be the thing that you have to do to get that mortgage paid, to get the bills paid and the food on the table, all of those kinds of things. Maybe that's the very important thing that you can't drop, but you can drop all the other things. And sometimes it's really hard to know what those things are. And I look at what I'm doing, and when I'm trying to think about taking the summer off, I've been looking at, okay, what's bringing in money every month? What is my overall why? What are my goals for the rest of the year? And so I'm trying to answer these bigger questions so that as I'm trying to drop a lot of things out of my arms, I know which are the ones that I need to hold on to. And for me, this is kind of taking into account the why and then the finances, because we're moving into a different financial stage as my husband is changing jobs, and I don't know what that's going to look like for us. And so it would be really nice to have more of a cushion. And so I really am looking at, okay, what has actually made me money? Because if I'm going to drop a few things, let's not drop the thing that's making the most amount of money. And when I sat down and looked, it was really surprising to me what actually was bringing in money to my business and what kind of creative things I was doing were not making money. So that really helped me to kind of clarify and to look back and say, okay, here's my why at this particular moment. Here's my long-term goal. And then here's what I really want to make and what's working for me in terms of the finances. Those other things are things that I can drop. Maybe it's just temporary, and then I'm going to come back and I can pour more into those. But there are going to be times where you have to put things down, and you need to make sure that you're putting down the right things. So if you're at one of those times, and I think summer for a lot of people is one of those times where you have to put at least a few things down, you need to consider your why and your overarching goals. And then you need to maybe consider also what is actually bringing in, let's talk about ROI, maybe not money. Maybe it's not just strict money that you're bringing in. But if your overall goals, if you're trying to grow your list, for example, maybe there's one thing that you're doing that's really working to bring in subscribers or really working to grow your audience. You want to identify that thing because that's the thing you don't want to drop, because that's got ROI, return on your investment of time or money. You don't want to drop those things. You want to drop the other things right now that aren't working, and then maybe work on those when you have a time that you can hold more things in your arms. But you can't drop that very important thing. So what is that for you? I'd really like to discuss this more. So if you want to head over to the Facebook group, we're going to be talking about this week. I'm going to post a thread and we'll talk about what is our baby, or very important thing if babies stress you out thinking about dropping them. And we'll talk about what that means for us, because I really do want to know. And I think this is a big question to think about. And if you are like me, moving into summer mode where some things have to be put down, you need to first identify the things you have to keep holding on to. Okay, so as I said, a little bit less practical, maybe a little more woo-woo this week. And I hope that metaphor really made you think, and I'm curious to know. So head over to the Facebook group creativewriting.com/community so we can chat about this. Don't forget to sign up for the free training on automation. We'll walk through MailChimp's new features and also look at ConvertKit and how they are different and the things that you can do with them. You can go to creativewriting.com/auto to register for that. And lastly, I want to thank again Pop-Up Ally Pro for sponsoring the podcast, and you can find them at ambitionally.com/Kirsten. Thanks to Jasmine Commerce of JasmineCommerceMusic.com for doing the tunes for this show. You can find more music from Jasmine over at JasmineCommerceMusic.com. Thanks so much for listening. Don't drop the baby, and I hope you have an inspired week.